at Twerton we've sort of developed our practice over the last few years, but I think I was trying to think how I could sort of sum up my feeling about Explore Books, and I think for us as a community developing our approach to observation and documentation, and it's a really important part of the process of the learning for the children, and also in how the adults impact on the children. And every adult that is involved in working with the children has the opportunity to actually partake and put things into the Explore Books. I think that's really important to us. And it forms, as Penny was saying, it forms a really important part of that reflective cycle that we develop within the school. So the process in which we work with the children, it's different kind of powerful, I think, not technical.
Don't worry.
Is developing how we observe the children, how we make that learning very visible to the children. And that starts with the observations that we make of the children as part of their learning. That's something that all the adults do, and we find that really valuable in how we develop the children's ideas, and that all our planning comes from observing the children and part of that reflective cycle. So making sure that it meets all the needs of every individual child is really important to all of us at school. As well as having the documentation book that has the individual children, we also do documentation of group work, which goes up and the children can see the process of learning, the parents can see it, and also as practitioners we can look and we can evaluate what the children have been doing. And I'll show you later, this actually forms part of their learning journeys as well. So we call ours the Explore Book because basically it comes from our time with the children, which is the Explore time. So everything that we do with the children is known as Explore time in the foundation stage and right through into Key Stage 1. And we decided that it'd be nice to call the books Explore Books because it is about the children's explorations and the children's fascinations. Here's an example of two children. As we can see, it's a mixture of the children's work and also the adults' involved in photos and the post-its for the children. And there you've got a post-it which is stuck onto Maya's work. It also shows a reflective time with the child. So it could be a comment that's been made while the child's done the work, or it could be a comment afterwards as well through looking through the Explore Books with the children. I'd like to talk about how the parents view the learning journeys as well, because that's really important to us, is the fact that we see the learning journeys as being the property of the parents, and they will go to them at the end as well. So that will become their children's diary, really, of their time in school. And that will happen right from if they go to our nursery, that will be right from nursery, right through to the end of Key Stage 1. And the comments I've had from parents is that it's something that they will really treasure, and they hope that when their children grow up, it's something they can share with their children, and so on. This is a photo of a coffee morning that we try to do regularly, as we find it's a good way to get the parents involved in the children's learning, but in a very informal way, so they don't feel that they're in the classroom and they feel everyone's looking at them. They can just be relaxed, have a cup of tea, and look through the journals at their own pace. So I think it's really important for the parents to have the time and have the space for ongoing sharing of information, and the need for this to be part of everyday practice as well. So we make sure we have an open doors policy in the mornings. All the Explore Books are laid out for the parents near the door, so they can come in when they like. They can have a flick through and see what the children have been doing. Plus we've got the documentation on the walls as well. So it becomes very visible to all the parents of what all the children do within the class. Being available, I think as adults we make sure we're available to chat to the parents when they've got any questions, or if they want to share special moments with us as well about their children's learning. Also valuing the parents' input. We have post-its by the door, so if they do want to write something down that's happened at home or a special moment, they can actually write it and they can put it into the learning journal. We've also found those conversations that we've had with parents have also led to them maybe saying, well, I'd love to find out more about that, or can you share that with me at a later date. And we've offered training to parents that supported their development as well as the children's development. Also, home visits. We go on home visits before the children start, and often we'll take along their learning journeys if they've been in the nursery, and it's something we can share, and that creates a lovely dialogue with the parents, and it's our first meeting with them. As you can see there, just about, that's our explore observation board at the back, and then we just have the learning journals just in front of that by the door, so the parents can easily come in, have a look through, and there's one of our dads having a look through presently. Okay, just an example of a child's experiences where it's helped with the learning journeys, and Jack is in my class, is a really prolific drawer, and everything he's experienced he tends to visualise it and make very detailed drawings about what he's done at home or at school. And his mum looked through his book and said, gosh, it's just like what he's like at home. He's done so many drawings at home. And then the next day she brought in a ream of drawings that he produced at home, which we then photocopied, and we were able to put some of those into his learning journey. So that made that connection between home and his school, which was lovely. And also it gave us something to say to Jack, oh, that's really valuable. You're doing that, you're bringing it in and showing us. So as a parent, she really appreciated that special moment with us. There we have one of the parents is sharing, having that special time for sharing their learning journey with their child. I think that's really special for the children as well, having that special time with their mum or dad, just to look through and share what's happened. It could be, I know Lily really enjoys looking back right from when she started nursery and sharing that experience right through and seeing how she's changed and how she's developed as an individual. And I think for the parents as well, having that special time just to talk through their experiences. Because the books are very accessible within the class, and the children know they can go and get their book at any time, and they can take it over to the table or wherever, and they can share that book with a friend or on their own. And there's Lily and Tilly sharing their books together. And it was really interesting because Lily is very vocal and she's very quick to talk about her learning, but is a very good role model for the children to get our ideas stimulated. And Tilly's quite quiet, but she was really enjoying listening to Lily. When I noticed that Tilly opened up to Lily and talking about her experiences. She was fascinated, went to Bristol Zoo, and she was fascinated by the butterfly house. So inside you've got all the butterflies flying about. And she came back about a month or so afterwards. She was making very detailed drawings and puppets and different things all about butterflies, which is carried on again now. The reflection time that we use with the children we find really valuable, just to see how the children are developing, and also it's a great way if you feel like Penny talks about sometimes the children get to a point where they're maybe stuck and they haven't got any new ideas or they don't know what to do next. Just looking through their books and reflecting on it can spark a bit of interest in something. They think, oh yeah, I could do that, or an idea might come from the reflection time, and also that positive time to have a conversation and think back about what we've been doing. And we really just enjoy the special one-to-one moments with the children. Very valuable for us. And there's Jay, he's just looking through his book and on his own just having a look and just seeing all the different things within his book. They've got very interested now in the text because now they're becoming more confident to read and to write. They're very interested to find out what it is you've written, so they enjoy you actually reading the posters out to them and asking, you wrote that, when did you write that, what was that about? So it's a great aim to sort of develop purposeful reading for them as well. The other interesting thing that's come out this year, as well as the children having access to their learning journeys within our black books that we use, they've also started making their own sketchbooks, and this just came through from having the access to just normal exercise books really within the classroom. They've started keeping them in their drawers, and they pull them out and put in special pieces of work that they've done, and even just work directly into the book. A lot of it's involved around collage and around sticking at the moment. It's interesting, and using the shape of the page and filling the shapes of the pages in. But Lily at the top there, she was finding it difficult to actually move around with the sketchbook when she had to carry other things. So she wanted to make her handle so it could become a book handbag, so she couldn't carry it around. So we constructed some handles at the top so it became portable.
Do you ever get anybody who very, in one session draws something on every page of the whole book, and then how do you?
We just give them another book and then they could carry on and have it. Yeah. So we don't ever feel that we don't ever limit the children on what you have that book there for you've got to wait. It's just they need another book and they can have another book. And I think sometimes it's that process they just need to go through, just repeating and just practicing something, which is fine. Sometimes they'll start at the beginning, sometimes they'll start in the middle, or they'll do something at the beginning, do something upside down at the end, or it's whatever way they want to use the book really.
Do you also work alongside the schematic pathways with the children as well?
Sorry,
Do you also work alongside their schematic pathways?
Yeah, we would definitely take note of their schemas. That's something also with the parents, they might have noticed schemas, behaviours at home, and then they'll say, oh, he does a lot of this, or this, and we could say, well, that's similar to how it's been going in school as well. So you can sort of support the parents in how they can develop the learning as well.
Does that carry on?
No, I'd say it carries on with a lot of children. Tilly's very, a lot of things she would enclose all her work she encloses, and she did a lot of work with she would enclose it with a musketeer, and now she's started putting paper behind and making a frame of her work on top of it. So she'll use a bigger piece of paper and she'll put her work on top of it and glue it down, so it's still got that frame around it, and then she'll stick it into her book and put another frame around it. So that's ever since she started in my class, that's what it's been like, that's developed.
You see what you're looking for.
Yeah. So I think it's creating that dialogue with the children and with other practitioners. So it's really useful for us with the TAs. That's where it's my TA. I've worked for many years, but we have a very ongoing dialogue with each other that happens, just as we're working with the children. Have you seen this? Have you noticed that? But often, when you'll work with the children and look through the books, then she'll feed back to me as what things she's noticed. It might be similar, might be different. So it's a great way of getting different feelings about interpretations of the children's work as well. In terms of the dialogue with parents, we see our learning journeys as the parents' report really. We don't give them a long report at the end of the year. We give them they have their learning journal, they'll have a summary of developments in all the 6 areas of their foundation stage. But their report is what we see as their learning journeys, what we see as their reports. And we find it incredibly useful in terms of our feeding back and reporting to parents that parents see them in different times, in that we've got a lovely record of different things the children have done. And for parents, it's a great way of explaining things like schemas as well, and talking about the value of all the child-initiated learning and how the children are developing through play and through open activities that are great for them. And the parents feel much more connected because they can see visually what the children are doing rather than just explaining it to them and not really understand it's theirs, it's confident it's their child. And they can also see the group interactions that are happening with their child as well, which is really valuable. They're also incredibly useful for our transition from not only from reception to year 1, but also from nursery up to us and from year 1 to year 2. What we tend to do is we tend to keep books in school until the October half term once they've gone up to their new class, so the teachers can then have that time to reflect with the children about what they've done on the previous year and give them a chance to make sure the environment is suitable for them, to make sure they know what the children's interests are. And then the parents will get the book in the October half term. So they'll end up with, if they have gone to our nursery, they'll end up with a book that could span 2 years of their child's life, which is lovely. And then they'll start a new book in Key Stage 1, which will go through for the rest of the year. There's examples there. There's on this side there's their reception books, and then on that side it's the ones from year 1. It's just interesting to see. We're saying about different people documented in different ways. It's whatever you find is more appropriate to the way you work really. So mine is much more sort of stick it in the book and glue everything in, and other people prefer to use a computer and ICT to document the children's learning. So there's an example of a year 1 documentation sheet. And Hannah does it all in, she uses PowerPoint, and that there, because she builds up a sort of presentation slide, and that is almost in chronological order from where she starts in the year. And it's a great record of group learning. And then she prints out and photocopies and sticks them in the children's learning journeys, along with other things that the children have done. And that's an example of one of my sheets from my class. I tend to do sort of stick it and stick the post-it straight on because it's quick and it gives the information that they need, but you can sort of do it within a short space of time and get it straight up, so the next day it can be up on the wall and the parents can see what the children have done, so it's immediate. It's not something that it would take me a few days to actually ICT things up and then manage to get them on the wall, I think. And there's a sheet that we did from our Explore Day. We decided that because it was all this stuff were mixed up on the children, we decided to document it in a slightly different way. So we all ICT'd up A4 sheets, which we're going to make into a book of the actual event. But that's gone up into the hall so that all the parents can see what the children did on that day. So in terms of feeding into the learning journeys, the A3 sheets or the A4 sheets, I tend to photocopy which children are involved on that sheet and put them straight into their book. And then that's obviously added to any of the post-it notes, any of the photos or children's work, other things that might want to go in, parent contributions or children's contributions. And similarly with the year 1s, they tend to photocopy them straight in and add on with other things. So it's finding a way that is practical for you and it isn't too time consuming, that it takes away from the actual purpose of doing the journeys themselves. I was thinking about I think the main thing for me is actually the conversations that it creates around having the journeys. I don't think we would have the strength of conversations we have with parents, or between children, or between practitioners, or between us and the children. I don't think we would have that without having the journals and documentation. And it's just a perfect record to be able to look back, to be able to reflect on what the children do, but also to plan the next steps for learning. I think the other thing as well is hoping that children will carry on that reflective process when they get into adults as well. I think that's something we hope, giving them this early start of using sketchbooks and having their own reflective journey. We hope that they will carry that process on and carry on being reflective adults as well as reflective children.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jane. Does anybody have any questions for Jane?
I feel embarrassed to ask you this question, but do you, in your learning journeys, tie it back to development matters or areas of learning at all? Or is it just, I would love to do it the way you're doing it, but we perhaps feel we have to say physical or creative development or whatever development matters, using one-handed tools and equipment. Is that mentioned there, or is it just what the children are doing?
No, we do link it back. And I mean, they're perfect tools. And when we had, talking about assessment, when we had our moderation, they were very, very impressed with how we document, because you can see the learning is very visible. And we often put a little code to say what profile point they've met, or we have an overview sheet as well, which we can look through and we can reference to the learning journey. So in terms of evidence, it's perfect for profile evidence.
Any other questions?
What sort of training do you offer parents? You mentioned at one point in your presentation.
We've done different things. We've done things it could be about reading. We've done things which is about just giving them the skills to be able to. We've done pottery things with them, mainly, but it could be basic skills training that parents find useful. But I think having the journals has helped them to say things that they would like, and having things like the coffee morning is quite an informal chance for them to be able to say, I'd quite like some training on this, or that's something I'd like to learn more about. I think that's really important. I think the main thing about the journals as well is it gives you that dialogue with parents and breaks down a few barriers.
Anybody else?
I think also because you mentioned you started it off high up in the nursery, so therefore it's good practice in working with those parents and carers starts off there at that top end.
Yeah,
And that develops that foundation. And the
definitely.
parents
Yeah.
know then what that's about when they come when they go down into other places.
Yeah, I think it is starting with the parents as they come into school. I think 'cause we're lucky that we've got the nursery on site, and also we take the children one step three now. So almost in a way we've nearly got a 3-year foundation stage that the child will be with us for 3 years. So that makes a massive difference.
Brilliant. Well, Jane, it's made me hate stand up there and talk. As you know, I